Tips how to get your ex-lover back. Introduction. The worst pain imaginable is having someone that you love tell you that they don't want to see you anymore. I, personally, would rather have my legs amputated without anesthesia than go through this type of pain. It's happened to me, it's happened to you, and just about anyone else who has ever been fortunate enough to fall in love. As you are sitting around with your heart feeling like it's been ripped out of your chest and fried up with liver and bacon, like something Hannibal Lecter would eat, people will be telling you the following. 1. You will get over it. 2. He/she was no good for you. 3. Time heals all wounds. 4. Move on, my personal favorite. It is his loss, you were way too good for him, or her, however the case may be. These are all tried and true things that people say to try to make you feel better. Some people will be bold enough to start trash-talking your ex-lover and telling you how they never liked his ears, how he was always burping in front of people, and how he made a play for them when he was drunk at last year's Christmas party. This does not make you feel better. As a matter of fact, nothing that anyone says can make you feel better. Let's face it, your heart has been ripped out and trampled on. And no one can say anything to change that. Except me. I can tell you something that can make you feel better because I can tell you how to get your ex-lover back. The first time I tried this, I was 19 years old. I had a boyfriend who I liked, but I could tell that his interest in me was waning. I immediately felt that this was because of the fact that I wouldn't put out. But the truth of the matter was that I was too clingy. I began by liking him a little, started to like him a lot and started to show my feelings. The more he pulled away, the more clingy I became. It really didn't help matters that he lived across the street. It also didn't help matters that his mother seemed to want us to get married and would often tell him what a great cook I was and how I helped my mother around the house. This was especially shocking because I was neither a great cook and never lifted a finger to help my mother. His mom liked me, though, and I guess wanted to get her 20-year-old son out of the house. Anyway, I could feel him pulling away but seemed powerless to do anything about my clinginess, although I was smart enough to know, even at that young age, that it was driving him away. The night finally came where he said the fatal words, "We have to talk." I knew what was coming and, at that moment, decided to enact a plan to get him back. Even as he was giving me the axe, so to speak, I was thinking of a way to get my ex-lover back. Technically, he was not my lover, I was good girl, but you get the point. When he told me that he wanted to stop going out, I shrugged it off and said, okay, no biggie. Inside, I felt like he put a knife right through me, but I managed to keep my cool. He was shocked. He had been so sure of the fact that I was clingy and needy, and I was, so he wasn't wrong, that he was really taken aback. And said so. He then told me how he didn't want to get married. I told him that that was not my intention. I was only 19 and had a lot of living to do. I then proceeded to get out of the car and walk to my door. Before I could get to the door, he grabbed me and kissed me. This was odd, but I continued with my plan. I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but I knew that whatever else happened, I still had my pride. The next morning, I stayed home from work and spent the day throwing up and alternately looking out the window for his car. I was determined to get him back, but didn't know how. I made a few mistakes. I made myself too available at the house because I was friendly with his sister. He saw me there, and I acted nervous when I saw him. I also visited with his mother. She was on my side. He seemed aloof. Something interceded that helped me, although I didn't know it at the time. I met another boyfriend. I started to go out with the other boyfriend and took my mind off of my ex-lover across the street. One day, I was outside washing my car and he came over to chat. And, lo and behold, he asked me out on a date. I wasn't even trying to get back with him at that point. I told him I was busy on the night he asked me out but could make it another time. Again, I acted unimpressed, but inside my heart was leaping. He asked me out for another night and I said, sure, I don't care. We got back together. This time, I vowed not to act clingy or needy. The relationship did not last, but when we parted ways a year or so later, we did so as friends and it was a mutual decision. When someone breaks up with you, they often break your heart. The last thing you want to hear is how you will mend. Yes, you will mend eventually, but this is not the time for anyone to say things like time heals all wounds because it really doesn't help at all. You are better off dissing the ex. The funny thing is that people break up and get back together all of the time. This is no big deal. My son just got back with his ex-girlfriend, who he dated for over a year and with whom he had broken up with for nearly a year. He was devastated at the breakup, but used the advice in this book and won her back. Think about it: if someone liked you enough to go out with you for a while and continue a relationship for more than a few dates, there was something there. There can be a variety of different reasons why he or she broke the relationship. In most cases, one person is moving along too quickly for the other person. In other words, you are not both on the same track. The person who is moving too quickly has to slow down and get on track with the other party and get them to move along a little in order for the reunion to work. This is not difficult and happens all of the time. If you follow the rules, this book will take you step by step and teach you how to get your ex-lover back. This is not stalking. This is not obsession. This is not even unhealthy. This is simply about giving yourself another chance at something that you want. The mindset to give up is not a good one to have. You need to be a little persistent if you want to get things done in life. You also have to know where to draw the line at persistence. You certainly do not want to give your attention to someone who is telling you to get lost. Follow the examples of this book, and you will understand exactly how you can go about getting back your ex-lover and keeping him or her for good. Chapter 1: The Breakup. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks. How you handle the breakup is an important aspect as to the strategy that you will have to take when getting back your ex-lover. If you cried, threatened suicide, got violent or pretty much caused a scene, you did some damage to your chances at a reunion. Although you did not make it impossible to get your ex-lover back. Nothing is impossible if you set your mind to it. The breakup should not blindside you. If you are in tune with the relationship, you will see it coming a mile away. He or she will suddenly be busy a lot of the time. They will not call you as often or return your calls. They will seem emotionally distant. Naturally, the more they behave this way, the more you want to be assured that they are still in love with you. You will start pushing them, and they will continue to back away. This is the dance of death in a relationship. If you can manage to stop this dance of death and back off, you may have a chance of avoiding the breakup. Your lover will be perplexed at your sudden change of heart and may start to actually pursue you. However, if you are like 99% of people, you will find it very difficult to control your emotions in such a case. You know you shouldn't call, but you can't stop your fingers from dialing. So the fateful day comes and he or she tells you that they need to talk. This is if you are lucky. Some people today are breaking up by email and by text message as a cowardly way to avoid confrontation. If the person is truly worth getting back and you have been dating them for a significant amount of time, they will have the decency to tell you to your face. Whenever you hear, "we need to talk," it is usually not good news. It usually means that your lover wants to end the relationship. This is a big cue on which you have to pick up. It also means that you put phase I of your plan on how to get your ex-lover back into action. You have to think quick in order to do this. Act like the breakup doesn't concern you. Do not cry. Do not plead. Do not do anything that resembles begging. You are not a dog and he or she should be lucky to have you. Think like that and act as if it is no big deal. It will have an impact. If you are afraid to do this because that you think if you plead and beg they will see how much they mean to you and change their feelings, they won't. There is only one way to get them to change their mind, and that is to throw a wrench into the works. They think they have you all figured out. You throw them for a loop with your nonchalant attitude towards the entire thing, and they are totally taken off guard. This takes some acting, but you can pull it off. Just think of your goal, which is how you are going to get them back. You can add the "I hope we can still be friends" bit in there. This is always good for good measure. And it helps if you are not threatening them with curses and physical abuse when you say this. The "we can be friends" is a nice, adult way to end a romantic relationship. It also keeps the door open. Most men will say this automatically, unless you have behaved like Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction. Men rarely like to toss anything out, especially women. This is why they have little black books. Women, on the other hand, are less apt to want to stay friends with a guy with whom they have broken up. They may say this, however, but not mean it. If you can manage to get away from them without shedding a tear and looking back, you have passed the first step in getting back your ex-lover with flying colors. You can then move on to step 2. If you have already had a breakup by the time that you have read this book, do not worry. Your step 2 might be a bit more difficult and you may have a tougher time, depending on your reactions at the breakup, but you can still get back your ex-lover. Unless, of course, you committed some sort of crime against him. Although that's not totally true either. There are plenty of people who have taken back someone who has done something drastic at the breakup. Take the example of Bob and Elaine. Bob and Elaine, a typical case. Bob and Elaine were dating for a few years. Elaine wanted to get married and Bob wanted to stay single. Timeless story. Finally, Elaine decided to give Bob an ultimatum: either they get married or break up. Bob chose the latter. Elaine was devastated. After 3 years of being together and believing that their future was destined together, Elaine was more than a little angry at Bob. She tossed a rock through his window and wrote nasty words on his windshield with lipstick. Bob knew that Elaine was behind the vandalism. However, he did not call the police. Some of his friends advised him to get a restraining order against Elaine and called her a psycho. Bob never talks to those friends anymore. The reason is because he and Elaine are now married and have 2 kids. How did Elaine and Bob get back together after she damaged his home and car? Very simple. Elaine used the tried and true tips in this book. After she had her little rabbit boiling session, this is a metaphor from Fatal Attraction. Elaine did not really kill a rabbit. She cried and got depressed like most women do. But something odd happened that might have been fate interceding on her behalf. Her phone went dead. Elaine probably would have called Bob and continued to call him because she just couldn't get over the fact that he could callously dump her. She didn't call him because she didn't. The phone company had trouble on her line and her phone was out for nearly a week. This was before the days of cell phones, so Elaine had no choice. She would frequently drive past Bob's house, but that was as far as it got. She never rang the bell. When the phone was repaired, Elaine found that it was better not to call Bob. That she wanted to prove to him that she could get along without him. She really convinced herself of this and, because they lived in the same town, was also convinced that she would run into him and he would discover that he missed her as much as she missed him. She decided to wait a month before calling him. She actually marked this time on the calendar. A month went by and she called Bob. The phone conversation was like this. "Hi Bob, this is Elaine. How are you?" Bob is naturally surprised, but not upset or annoyed. In fact, he didn't just forget about Elaine and did miss her. After all, something had drawn them together in the first place and kept them together for a period of 3 years. He was actually happy to hear from her. "Oh, hi," he said. "I wanted to apologize about my behavior," Elaine said without incriminating herself in acts of vandalism. Elaine's uncle is an attorney and Elaine is no dummy. "I just was thinking about you and wanted to see how you were doing as well as say I was sorry for any trouble." Bob was still in shock because he was completely taken off guard by the phone call. Never underestimate the element of surprise. He answered that it was no trouble, even though it cost him $150 to have the glass replaced and had to worry about burglaries, and that everything was cool. Then he asked Elaine how she was doing. She said fine, and that she hoped someday they could manage to be friends. Note the "someday we can manage to be friends." This is a good line. It works so much better than the "we can still be friends," which is a nice way of telling someone to kiss off because it sounds sincere. Let's be honest, Elaine was not going after friendship here. She realized that she went a week without talking to Bob or seeing him, and she survived. She did not sound desperate in her phone conversation at all, and this made all the difference. Then she finished her triumph by saying, "Well, I gotta go. I have to run out, but I just thought I would say hi." She ended the call first. This is another essential in the post-breakup call. End the call first. Make it short and sweet and be the first to say goodbye. Always leave the audience wanting more. Elaine was heartened about the phone call with Bob. He didn't hang up on her even though she vandalized his house and car and seemed pleasant. On top of that, he didn't seem standoffish and even managed to ask how she was to keep the conversation going. The phone call was a successful step in getting back her lover. The post-breakup phone call is one of the first steps that you have to master when you are trying to win back your ex. If you blow it, don't worry. Nothing is unfixable. In the next chapter, we will learn exactly how to handle the post-breakup call and the allotted time in which to wait to place that call. We will also talk about do's and don'ts of the post-breakup call. For now, let's summarize the breakup. When you feel the breakup coming, try to do your best to hold on loosely. While every instinct in your body tells you to keep pushing your lover and trying to find out what's wrong, you should be distancing yourself. Because the more you cling, the more needy you seem and the less attractive. No one wants a needy individual. If the breakup happens, try to think about what it will take to get back with your ex-lover. Nothing you can say at this point is going to work, so save your speeches and crying and begging. It will only serve to drive him or her farther away. There is an old episode of Law and Order in which they are trying a guy for murder and he has one of the best defense attorneys in New York. Naturally, he is a wealthy guy. Instead of the big shot defense attorney doing all of the questioning, he is working on a document during the trial and having an associate do his work. Now either Michael Moriarty or Sam Waterston is really perplexed at this until he realizes what the attorney is doing. The attorney already knows that the case is a loser. He is letting his associate handle it, but he is busy working on the appeal. In the end of this episode, the bad guy actually gets away with the murder because of the appeal. This is what you have to be doing. When the guy or girl is breaking up with you, start working on your appeal. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks. People break up and get back together all of the time. It truly is not the end of the world. Try to handle the breakup with some dignity. Act nonchalant about it as if perhaps you were thinking about doing the same thing or you are just not that affected. I guarantee you that you will intrigue your ex-lover, especially if we are talking about a man. Women have no trouble breaking up with men. We do it all the time and simply say, I don't want to see you anymore. For some reason, men would rather have their teeth pulled out with pliers than break up with a woman. They really don't like confrontation, so this is very difficult for them. One word of advice here, for the new age techies, many men are cowardly using email and text message to break up with women. This is happening more and more often, especially if the couple has not dated. Some women do this as well. It is grossly disrespectful and reeks of cowardice. Personally, I would not want to be bothered getting back an ex-lover who used this method to break up with me because I would lose respect for them. But don't let my feelings sway you. Remember that many people choose to take the path of least resistance and may not have been brought up to do the right thing. If someone breaks up with you by text message or email, ignore the message. Do not respond, no matter how much you want to get even. If you want to get back with them, do nothing. This will work. Handling the breakup is the first step in getting back your ex-lover. Many of you who are reading this book have already been through the breakup stage and handled it terribly. Many of you cried or pleaded or did drastic things. You may even have said a lot of hurtful things to your ex-lover. Don't worry. You can get past that. Breakups are emotionally charged and you can find people all the time who endured a nasty breakup and then later got married. I know two couples personally who went through this 20 years ago and are still married. After the breakup, you are ready for the post-breakup phone call. Chapter 2: The Post-Breakup Phone Call. Let me just say that the time that you have to wait before making the post-breakup phone call will depend on how you stand right now. Have you just hung up the phone and left a message for your ex-lover? Are you doing the Princess Diana bit where you leave 40 messages a day for him or her and wonder why they don't answer? Did the breakup just happen and you have not spoken to your ex? How did you behave during the breakup? Were you cool or did you throw something at him or her? Rule of thumb is to wait a month before the post-breakup call. You do not want to call too soon as it reeks of desperation, loneliness, neediness and crawling. You do not want to wait too long because it gives him or her time to get used to being without you. Remember that people are very routine-oriented and that your ex-lover is missing you. Even if he or she found another boyfriend or girlfriend, they still miss the closeness they had with you. It is natural to miss a routine. You read in the last chapter an example of a perfect post-breakup call. This ended up working well for Elaine and Bob as they later not only got back together but actually tied the knot. Bob missed Elaine, he just didn't realize how much until they broke up. And the more she pushed him, the more annoyed he became. He was really mad at the damage of his house, but part of him still loved Elaine and didn't want to see her get into trouble with the police. Take a calendar out and start marking off days when you are ex-free. Each day that goes by that you do not call him or her is a triumph. It is getting you one step closer to your goal. You will be doing other things that get your mind off of your ex during this time that will help pass the time. Remember, you have to wait a month. After a month has gone by, you can place the call. Place it at a time when you know that he or she is at home. Then you can act as Elaine did. You are just calling to see how he or she is and tell them that you were thinking of them. Do not sound needy. Do not sound whiny. You have to sound nonchalant and confident, just as if you were calling a distant uncle or cousin and were just thinking about them. Get any sort of nervousness out of your voice. Then you have to do the crucial thing and hang up right away. You have to go, after all, you are busy and have things to do. It was nice talking to him or her, but you need to get going. Talk soon. Be the first to end the conversation. Always, you will hang up and breathe a sigh of relief. Your ex will be intrigued by the call and flattered. He will feel good that you called because of the following reasons. You did not sound clingy or whiny and sound like you have your life together, always attractive to a man or a woman. You did not ask him for anything, always a feeling of security for a man. Most men break up with women who try to possess them. You did not threaten or swear at him, always a plus in any conversation. You sounded like you had something else to do besides think about him. And believe me, that's the corker. Most women who get dumped do so because they begin to revolve their lives around a guy. This becomes a turn-off for any man or woman as people tend to be drawn to independent people and not needy Klingons. This is a rough idea on how to handle the post-breakup call. Be light-hearted and pleasant. Do not mention the breakup or the possibility of getting back together. Do not start crying or sound otherwise needy in any way, shape or form. Be assertive and act like you are calling an uncle or cousin. Do not act like the sun rises and sets on this phone call. The post-breakup phone call is one of several steps that you are going to have to take to get back your ex-lover. If done successfully, you are well on your way to step 2. If it fails, you have to go back to the drawing board, wait another month, and then make another post-breakup phone call of essentially the same material. Some ways that you know that your post-breakup phone call failed to hit its mark are the following. He or she does not answer the phone, that darn caller ID. He or she tells you not to bother them anymore. He or she sounds uninterested in what you have to say. He or she says that they hate your guts and never want to see you or talk to you again. This is a lot more promising than it seems. Actually, it means they are still thinking about you and have emotions for you. It also means that you really meant something to them, as only those we love we can truly hate. Another woman or man answers and tells you that they are married. In this case, you have no choice but to move on. I hate to be a quitter, but this is not a good sign that you should continue trying to get back your ex-lover. If any of the above occur, do yourself a favor and go back to square one and wait to make another call in a month. This is with the exception of the last item on the list, although with the way marriages last these days, you never know. Do not do the following during the phone call. Make up a phony excuse to see him or her, such as you need a book or an item returned. If you really do need something from them, ask them to mail it to you. Ask to see them. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks. Start crying, never good. Plead with them in any way, shape or form. It just doesn't work. You should also, after the breakup, resist any urge to send them flowers, a gift or anything material. You cannot buy back their affection and are wasting your money. It will actually be creepy to them and more of a turn-off. You are better off to donate to the homeless. Assuming that the post-breakup phone call goes okay, you are ready to move on to the next step in the how to get your lover back lessons. The coffee date. Chapter 3: The coffee date. If all goes well with the phone call, you are ready to move on to the next step, which is the coffee date. You need to place another call to your ex-lover and ask them, in a nonchalant way, if they would like to meet you for coffee. Tell them that you are going to be in the neighborhood and it would be nice to see them again, just for coffee. Make sure that you put a time limit on this date. Say something like you are going to be in the neighborhood on some business and thought you could kill an hour with him or her for coffee. The purpose of the coffee date is for your lover to see you again and rekindle his or her feelings for you. There is an old saying, out of sight, out of mind. This rings true with some love that has not yet had a chance to flourish. There are many reasons why relationships end. In most cases, they end because the romance has not yet had a chance to flourish. Either the relationship was consummated too early or just didn't have time to plant good roots. In some cases, the other person got frightened of the closeness that was developing. Many people think that once a relationship ends, it is over, finished forever. There are so many cases where people have gotten back together after a split. In many of those cases, they realized that they wanted to continue the relationship after they saw each other again after a few weeks or even months apart. The latest feelings of either anger or being frightened were surmounted by feelings that had surfaced when they first met. So you want to give them a call and ask them to do coffee. Act like you are calling a friend to do coffee. You have to emphasize that you are going to be around, it would be nice to see them, and that you only have time for coffee. Do not tell them what your business is. You can just say that it is something for work. You should wait a decent interval after the breakup phone call to make the call to ask for the coffee date. You might even get a call before then. If you do, we will be discussing that behavior in the following chapter. Do not sound desperate to see them, and do not be disappointed if they cannot make it. Do not say some other time either. This also reeks of desperation. You invited him or her to coffee, you did not propose marriage. It is up to them to offer some other time. If they say yes, set a time and date, and then get off the phone as soon as possible. You can tell them that you are looking forward to seeing them again, but make sure it doesn't sound like you'll be bringing a priest for your coffee date. You are going to have to behave like you are going out with a friend. If he or she declines, note whether they give you a reason. No matter what, do not act crushed or upset. Be very casual about it. Continue with a bit more small talk and then tell them that you have to go. You can try again in another month. The trick of the coffee date phone call is to act unaffected. Either your ex is dying to see you, is a bit curious to see how you are doing, or is indifferent. You want to make sure that you act as nonplussed as possible. Remember to play it cool, whether or not your yes agrees to the coffee date. Now, if your ex says that he or she will think about it, you have to continue to play it cool. Respond with, "It's not big deal. If you want, I am going to Starbucks on Saturday morning. Maybe you can meet me there." The reason for this is to give your ex a choice. They may be hemming and hawing about whether or not they want to see you, but this puts it right on the line. If they say that they may be there, you have another bit of work to do. So it may be yes, no, or maybe. If you had a decent relationship, he or she will probably consent to the meeting. Remember to make it on a morning for an hour. This is just like you are experiencing an online date. Chapter 4: The Post-Breakup Meeting Date. Assuming that your ex tells you that they want to see you for the coffee date, make sure that you look your best but do not look too over the top. Dress normally, take care with your hair and appearance, but do not buy a new outfit or look extra glamorous. Remember, the secret word here is cool. You have to play it cool. Get to the coffee shop a little late. Breeze in like you are in a hurry and have a ton of things to do. Do not be overly happy to see your ex, but do not seem gloomy. You want to give off an air of confidence. Remember, confidence is key when it comes to getting back your ex. Always have a place to go and announce it when you arrive. Tell your ex that you are so glad to see them again and wish you had more time to talk, but at least you have time for coffee. It doesn't matter that the coffee date was your idea and you planned the date, you are still busy. Do not pretend to have another date, nor should you announce that you do not have another date. It is none of his or her business what you have been doing with yourself since the two of you broke up, nor is it any of their business what you are doing now. Just as you would not spill your guts to a stranger, you should not spill them to your ex. The purpose of the post-breakup coffee date is twofold. First, you want to show your ex that you have not stopped living because of him or her. That you have gone on with your life and are feeling great. You are not mourning him or her. Even if you stay home every night crying in your pillow, you have to act like you are having the time of your life. Second, you want to give your ex the chance to see the new, confident you. This is why you should look your best, but not in a contrived way. You do not want your ex to think that you are actively enticing him or her. You want them to see what they are missing and admire your confidence. At one time, your ex-lover loved you. There was something about you that they liked. Those qualities are still there, you just have to get him or her to see them again. You should be amiable at the coffee date and positive. Avoid any type of negative conversation, as this will only make you appear unattractive to your ex. Avoid asking the following. Are you going out with anyone now? Do you miss me? Do you think we should go back out? You do not want to be the leader in any of these conversation topics. Your ex made the decision to stop seeing you. In most cases, it was because you were too needy and your ex felt trapped. You want to stop giving the impression that you are needy and avoid any type of needy conversation. In addition to avoiding asking the following questions, You should also avoid revealing any information that implies you have been sitting around and waiting for your ex to come back. Avoid the temptation to say that you have not been out with anyone else. Nor should you lie and invent a string of lovers. Remember, confidence is essential during this meeting. If you have never been confident before, now is the time to start. It is one thing to act with confidence. It is another thing to actually be confident. Take the next chapter's tips on how to actually gain some confidence for yourself before you have this meeting. And do not allow your ex to shake your confidence that you have in yourself. There are 3 ways that this type of meeting can turn out. They are as follows. Your ex can rekindle their feelings for the new, confident you. Your ex can be glad that he or she dumped you. The entire thing can turn into a screaming fest and you are asked to leave the coffee shop. Obviously, you want the first scenario to occur. This is why you must retain your confidence no matter what happens. Even if your ex tells you that he or she is going out with someone else, do not lose your cool. Do not say that you, too, have been seeing someone. In fact, you can say that you are disappointed without seeming overly affected, whiny or morose. You will naturally be nervous at this meeting and may prefer having a drink over coffee, but you should avoid liquor at all costs. Liquor will release your inhibitions. When this happens, you may turn into a crying and begging drunk. This is sure to turn off your ex and make you feel awful, both physically and mentally the next day. This post-breakup meeting is essential to show your ex that you are still around, still looking good and have not crawled into a hole and died because of his or her rejection. At the end of the date, you should try to pick up on the cues that he or she set forth during the date as to how the relationship will go. The fact that your ex showed up for the coffee meeting is a good sign. They may be thinking the same as you. Take note as to how they are dressed. Did they, too, go out of their way to make themselves look nice? Pick up on cues, but make sure that your ex makes the first move. Do not leave the date pleading for a second. You should let them talk. Tell them that it was nice seeing them again, but avoid asking for another date or if the two of you can get back together. If he or she does not make the move to ask for a date, leave it alone. You can always try another phone call a few weeks from now. Tell them that you enjoyed the coffee date and then ask to see them again. If your ex has any inclination of getting back with you, then he or she will let you know in some way, either during the meeting or after. Even if your ex does not make the move during the coffee date, they might give you a call a few days later. Chapter 5. Avoid the friend trap. Two people go out with one another. They have a romantic relationship. One of them decides that the relationship is not for them. Can they be friends? The answer is yes, if the two have fully moved on and neither one of them has any desire to continue the relationship. But this seldom happens when the breakup first occurs. Two people can be friends, but not until all the dust has cleared. Many people make the mistake to hang on to the other person as friends so that they can still be around them. They ask for friendship and are adamant that they do not want anything more. Even at the expense of their own feelings, they take the second option and feign friendship, but what they really want is love. Avoid the friend trap. It is not fair to you or your ex. Unless you are going to be jumping for joy over their new relationship, then you are not their friend. Because a friend would not be brimming with jealousy, but would be happy for their friend and their new relationship. And what usually happens is that the entire friendship explodes when one of the parties gets another love interest the ex gets all upset. This upsets the person who thought that they had a friend instead of a jealous ex-lover hanging around. This not only causes bad feelings all around, but can also doom any type of future relationship that might have developed had it not been for the false friendship. Sure, you can be friends with your ex after you are over them. But chances are that there will be little reason to be friends once you have moved on to other lovers. Chapter 6: How to Get Confidence. Remember, confidence is key. But just how do you manage to get confidence? After all, your confidence has pretty much been shattered after your ex broke your heart. This is enough to take the wind right out of your sails. But that does not mean that it has to be that way for long. You need to find ways to regain your confidence. One way that you can use to regain your confidence is to find something that you like to do, can do well, and do it. If you have ever wanted to take up a hobby, now is the time. No matter what type of hobby it is, it will do double duty. It will keep your mind off of the breakup and will also add to your self-esteem. The more you get absorbed in your hobby, the better you will feel. The less you will think about the person who broke your heart, and the more that you will think about you. You cannot expect your ex-lover to want to come back to you if you are a broken, defeated and miserable person. This is unattractive in anyone. People are attracted to others who exhibit confidence in themselves. You must have this type of confidence in order to get back with your ex, as well as for your own self-esteem. In addition to getting a hobby, start to pamper yourself. Listen to music that you like and sing along. Singing is actually an excellent exercise and can boost your energy level as well as endorphins. It can pull you out of a depression that is so easy to get into when you have been jilted. Rent or buy movies that you like and watch them. Treat yourself to entertainment that is happy and will get your mind off of your problems. Take a trip to the salon or barber and get a new style. Resist the urge to cut off your hair or dye it some odd color. Just take a beauty treatment. This will make you feel better. If money is tight, go to a beauty school for this treatment. They work under the supervision of licensed professionals and will give you the same treatment as you can expect in a salon. Get a pedicure, manicure or a massage. This will make you feel good physically. You might want to spend a little money and get yourself a new outfit. This can also make you feel better about yourself. By pampering yourself and doing things that you like to do, including hobbies, you will regain confidence that you may have lost when the relationship ended. Many people will latch on to another person when they lose the comfort of a steady relationship. While some rebound relationships do work out, you are better off to rejuvenate your confidence before you even consider embarking on another relationship. Even if you get over your ex, you should resist the urge to lose yourself in the arms of someone else. Confidence stems from liking yourself and knowing what you want. You have probably heard this before many times, but you cannot expect anyone else to like you unless you like yourself. Before you have the meeting with the ex, even before the phone call, be sure to do something for yourself to restore your confidence level. Chapter 7: Elements of Love. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks. They say that the course of true love never goes smooth. But that does not mean that your entire love life has to be a drama fest. There are two basic elements to love: mutual attraction and timing. In order for the love affair to work, both of these have to be in sync. If there is no mutual attraction, it is very unlikely that there will be a love affair at all. While there are many stories of people who began as friends and then turned into lovers, you will find that there was an attraction between at least one of the parties when they met. The timing may have been off and they became friends, usually due to other people in their lives. But there was an initial attraction. If the attraction is there, then the timing has to also be there. This means that both of the parties have to be ready to fall in love. There should be nothing to stand in the way of the relationship. This means that all previous relationship matters should have been settled. With both of these elements in sync, the two people have an excellent chance of falling in love and developing a lasting relationship. People do not want to be alone, we are social creatures. When we find someone who we like and who likes us in return, we go out of our way to make the relationship work. Most people will make concessions in their own behavior to accommodate the relationship. While you do not want to compromise your principles for the relationship, you do not want to be unyielding. Most people who are entering a relationship are flexible. As they get to know one another more, they begin to let out more of their true feelings and behavior. By this time, they are so used to one another that they may be willing to overlook things that might have turned them off of the relationship had they known at the beginning. Without the elements of love, you cannot expect the relationship to be able to work. In some cases, however, the timing can be fixed. In some cases, the timing is off in the beginning of the relationship, but things change later that make the relationship possible. This is why the post-breakup date is so important. It gave the other person to rethink their own personal timing and see if things have changed. Some people who break up get back months or even years later after the timing is corrected. This does not mean that you should wait for someone to change their minds and not get on with your life, but it does mean that there are times when two people who broke up because the timing for the relationship was not right, get back together when the timing issue corrects itself. While you do not want to wait around forever for someone to decide to come back to you, nor feign friendship when you want romance, by remaining on friendly terms with your ex, you may give the relationship another chance if the timing issues work out. There is no big mystery when it comes to the elements of love. It is all about timing and mutual attraction. If the mutual attraction was there to begin with, and your lover left because he or she said they were not ready for a relationship, still had issues with a past lover, or just did not feel like they wanted to settle down, you have hope for a relationship with them in the future if the timing issue straightens itself out. Chapter 8: Behavior to Avoid. While it is natural for you to want to know everything that your ex is doing as your heart is breaking, or for you to want to call him or her and try to talk to them, you do not want to pester your ex-lover to the point where they feel you are threatening or stalking. Nor do you want to plead and beg for their love, as this will only make things worse in their eyes. The following are examples of behavior to avoid. Repeated phone calls. This is easy to do. You call up and have a conversation with them that is not satisfactory and end up hanging up. Then you call back to apologize or to clarify something because you feel bad and he or she does not answer the phone. You hang up. Then you decide to leave a message and call again. You call again and there is no answer and you leave a message. Then you wait for them to call you back. When they do not return the call, you call again. This is an example of repeated calling. It can be deemed as harassing if your ex-lover calls the police. This is one of the worst things that you can do when you are trying to get back your ex-lover. In the heat of the moment, when your emotions are running high, it is easy to fall into this trap. Avoid it at all costs. Driving past their house. This is like sticking bamboo under your fingernails and lighting it. Why torture yourself? If you see their car there, you will wonder what he or she is doing. If you see a strange car, you will wonder if they have a date. And if you see no car, you will wonder where they are. Stop wasting gas mileage and your time by driving back and forth past their house. Not only is it a waste of time, but if they see you do this, they will not feel flattered but threatened. Calling family members. Calling or emailing their family members and friends and trying to get them to intercede on your behalf or using them as a sounding board to tell them what an awful person your ex is in an effort to get their attention is a bad idea. If you want to tell your ex off, do so to their face and not to their relatives. And if you care about your ex at all, you will not put his or her relatives or friends in the awkward position of trying to relay information. No one will want to get involved. Your ex will get mad at you for this attempt to try to get to them through their friends, and you will lessen the chances of the two of you ever getting back together. Send gifts or flowers. Men are more guilty of this than women. No amount of flowers or gifts is going to bring your lover back to you unless they are ready to come back to you. Save your money and your time and stop sending flowers or gifts in an effort to win her back. Cyber stalking. Do not start Googling your ex and showing up on their new Facebook or MySpace. Do not follow them onto dating sites and pretend to be someone else. This is a total waste of time and will lessen any chance of rekindling your relationship. Allow your ex to be your ex. If he or she is on your Facebook page as a friend already, you do not have to kick them off and block them. Just ignore them and do not stalk their pages or the pages of their friends. Threaten suicide. Threatening suicide is much more likely to land you in the psych ward of the local hospital instead of back in the arms of your ex-lover. Do you really want someone back this way? And do you want to put your ex-lover in the position of having to call the police to stop your suicide attempt? And who wants to go out with someone who is completely insane? This is a very bad idea. If you truly have suicidal thoughts because of your ex-lover, you need to go to the ER. This is how you get help. You should not use the suicidal thoughts as a tool to get back with your ex. This will never work. Go out with their friends for spite. Leave their friends alone. Hopping into bed with their brother, sister, cousin, best friend or mother is not the way to get them back or get some sort of twisted revenge. It is merely bringing some other innocent party into the melee. Do not go out with their friends or family members as a way to get them back or to get back at them. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks. Rush back to them if they call. If, for some reason, your ex calls you, you should not rush to call them back. You should play it cool. In some cases, the ex will want to gratify his or her ego and call to see if you are still pining for them. Do not fall into that trap. If your ex calls you, you can call back, but not right away, and see what they want. If they suggest that you get back together, suggest the coffee date. Do not immediately jump back with them as they may then decide that they can string you along like a yo-yo. Obviously, any type of violence or criminal defacement should be avoided. Many people resort to this as a way to get some attention from their ex-lover, even if it is negative attention. This is obviously behavior that you want to avoid when you are dealing with your ex-lover or anyone else. Remember, the objective is to be facing him or her in the coffee shop, not the courtroom. Chapter 9, A True Success Story. I have many true stories when it comes to people who have gotten back with their ex-lovers and who have followed the advice as outlined in this book. The best success story that I can share is that of my son and his girlfriend. My son and his girlfriend had a fight and she broke up with him. He was shattered. They had been together a year and a half and she was only his second serious girlfriend. He did not know what to do and went through the gamut of emotions, but because he knew that I had successfully coached others to get back together after a breakup, he decided, for once in his life, to take my advice. He was devastated when she put herself as single on her MySpace page. But he did not kick her off as his friend. He did not call her repeatedly and went for 2 weeks without calling her at all. Each day, he used my support as well as that of his friends to fight any urge to contact her. He did get in touch with her after 2 weeks. He talked to her and they decided to stay as friends. He then went on with his life with his friends while casually keeping in touch. He did not do the coffee date right away because he knew that she was not ready to get back together with him. When he found out she was dating someone else, he was upset but still continued with his life. He even started taking interests in other girls. He began dating again casually, but he still loved his ex-girlfriend. About 6 months after they had broken up, he found out from a friend that she never really liked the guy she dated after him. It was a rebound relationship, and called her for the coffee date. She went. They went to a local coffee shop and had a nice time out. A few days after that, she called him. Then the calls went back and forth for quite some time. All this time my son insisted that they were just friends and not dating. Then they started going out to different places together. To the movies. Out to dinner. This continued for about a month. The entire time my son said they were not dating and kept things cool. He still continued to go out with his friends and have a life of his own, but he did not date any other girls. On Valentine's Day of last year, they decided to get back together as boyfriend and girlfriend. This was a little less than a year after they broke up. This Valentine's Day, they celebrated their new anniversary and my son gave her an engagement ring. This is one of many success stories that occurred because someone followed the advice in this book. My son was successful at getting back with his ex-girlfriend because the timing issue resolved itself. Both of them matured a bit, and neither one of them resorted to bad behavior during the breakup. The first thing I told my son when he said they broke up was to follow my advice and not contact her begging and pleading. Of all the people I helped reunite with their ex-lovers, this was the most gratifying for me. As long as you follow the outline in this book and do not display any of the inappropriate behavior that is illustrated here, you have a good chance of getting back with your ex. The hardest part is the no contact rule that you must maintain after the breakup. Remember the example that I gave of the Law and Order episode and start working on reuniting the minute that you discover about the breakup, and you have a better chance of winning your appeal to get back together. Build up your confidence, spend some time alone, discover hobbies and things that you like to do that do not involve your ex and fight off any urge to behave badly and you can get back together with your ex. If you do not get back together with them, remember that you will still have emerged a healthier and more confident person who will be all the more ready for their next relationship. Remember to keep your friends close and use them as well as your family members as a support group during the trying time of the breakup. Remember that your friends and family are there for you to try to help you through this time. Lean on them, follow the lessons in this book, build up your own self-confidence, and you have an excellent chance of getting back together with your ex, or, at the very least, some other lucky girl or guy. Thanks for listening. Please like, share and comment on this video. Please subscribe our channel for more amazing audiobooks.